Welcome to The Edge of Show, your gateway to the Web3 revolution. We explore the cutting edge of blockchain, cryptocurrency, NFTs, ordinals, DeFi, gaming, and entertainment, plus how AI is reshaping our digital future. Join us as we bring you visionaries and disruptors pushing boundaries in this digital renaissance. This show is for the dreamers, disruptors, and doers that are pumped about where innovation meets culture. This is where the future begins.
Hi everyone, this is Josh Krieger, host of The Edge of Show, live in Denver at Bitcoin Next, which is a really exciting event presented by Bitlayer and co-hosted by The Edge of Company. And I'm here with one of the co-founders of Bitlayer, Charlie Hugh. It's great to have you back on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Josh.
So, it's bustling around town. It feels like, there's hope and optimism in the air, even as we speak, where, Bitcoin is sort of taking a little dip down to 80K. I think it's back up to 84. It was a quick little dip down there. But the industry is complicated right now, and I'd love your perspective, at this moment, both as a founder in the Bitcoin ecosystem, but as a long-term investor in the blockchain space. What do you think is happening?
Great questions. So great to be back in Denver. It's a magical city. We started right after Denver, literally last year. So you asked an amazing question. It's kind of complicated market signal. We have institutions actually selling a lot of their positions due to various reasons. We have a lot of builders really saying long high conviction about the industry. A lot of people buying the dip. A lot of people panic selling. But I always believe, as an investor, that the best moment of opportunity, of generational, opportunity, is actually when there's controversial time, when people actually having crazy, panicking or fear. That's time actually you come in, right? And then sometimes the opposite, when everybody's have the Hysteria, Hovara moment, everybody's going crazy and getting drunk. That's time you need to be sober. So I think definitely we see some interesting bottom signal in Denver this week. It reminds me being the builder 2 years ago in Singapore, doing the Token 2049 in Singapore, when everything was crashing. Everybody was saying Ordinal is going to be zero, Ordinal is dead. And then we had a very amazing event, Ordinal Summit. And then right after that, everything started actually picking up. We had a crazy, amazing ordinal season right after that. So yeah, there could be the bottom signal.
Right on. I appreciate your thoughts and your conviction there. I, for one, find it difficult to think that we're going into a bear market just on the amount of exciting projects that are still deploying right now. And, the signals in terms of open regulations, we were just in Hong Kong together. Of course, a lot happening on the Hill. How do you think the regulatory environment shifts are going to affect, in specifically the Bitcoin ecosystem, projects like Bitlayer, in terms of how institutions play into the future of the space?
Yeah, great question. So we all know ETF was approved last year. Since then, we have billions of dollars altogether. I think over 100 billion, right? Buy pressure from all the institutions. That's only just the U.S. institution, right? Among all the top 15 ETF issuers. And then we have some interesting Asian company trying to copy the strategy of like MicroStrategy. Now just changed to a new name, right? Strategy. They've been buying Bitcoin, putting their balance sheet as like the treasury management strategy. So a Japanese company called Metaplanet has been doing that. They've been buying Bitcoin nonstop in the last 3 months. And I think a lot of countries going to copy that model. So we have this like institution, even nation state, really have big push on that. And now it's actually a good opportunity for them who have no position whatsoever on Bitcoin, who have been waiting for this opportunity to really come in for the long run. So while people actually have the crazy panicking mode among all the crypto bros, there's people actually see it as a great opportunity to come in. Regulation-wise, we all know, we were both in Hong Kong. Hong Kong approved the Bitcoin ETF last year as well. The volume was not big, but I think it's going to gradually going up with a lot of the regulation become clear and
and
clear.
I think they just announced sort of they didn't define the regulations recently, but they announced their efforts to progress in that area, right?
Yeah. I think it was just like evolution. Like when the policy came out, not everybody just immediately jumped to like let's just keep doing the actions, putting all the money into this new position of new assets class. A lot of family office, a lot of liquid funds in those regions will kind of observe what's going to happen. Does this policy actually will make a real material impact? I think 6 months is normally the range of timeline they need to have digest all that. So I think this is a good year. They will come in, not just the U.S. institution, right? So hopefully we're going to see more ETF get approved. There's some speculation around like Australian government wants to do that. Even Korea as well. We were in Korean blockchain week last year. We have been hearing things, all these like rumors around that since then. It's so again, it's not just nation state, right? With Bitcoin National Reserve, it's actually all the Fortune 500, all the big companies, the public listed company wants to put Bitcoin as part of their very important strategy.
And one more question there. There was just announced that Dubai is going to support USDC in Europe, DC. What's the relevance of the stablecoin dimension of the industry, which is, I think, going to continue to get more and more visibility and importance relative to the Bitcoin industry? How do those two play out for you and impact your company directly?
Yeah, so stablecoin is one of the most important key components in the DeFi space, right? Bitlayer, our ecosystem is very focused on DeFi. We have quite a lot of amazing DeFi use case and project deployed on our mainnet already. And stablecoin, we all know, right? That's the fundamental thing. We use stablecoin to trade and borrow all kinds of digital assets. The main one is the USDT Tether, and so that's very important news. We just came out a couple of weeks ago, right? Tether announced that they are going to work with Lightning Labs and on the Lightning Network to mint more, USDT natively on Bitcoin network. So that on that assets will be easily to transit to all kinds of Bitcoin layers, including Bitlayer. So that's amazing news. And obviously, we're gonna see how the volume will come in. With Circle, you mentioned, the Circle. We've been talking to the Circle team quite a while. They been very active on the regulation or engagement side. Middle East is a very important region. We also have some interesting partnership there as well. We'll see how the Circle regulatory kind of engagement play out in the different region. And Circle S has an interesting office and team in Singapore. We want to onboard, all these stablecoin assets, right? We already have the bridged version. Soon, Bitlayer gonna have the native USDT or USDC minting in the pipeline. Still work in progress, but I think once we have that, it's a huge leg up for our DeFi strategy. Yeah.
Right on. So I think that naturally leads to a question around bridging, which is key to all this. And you're I guess as we're recording this, you have already shared your announcement with the world that at Bitcoin Next. But talk to us about the future of bridging and Bitlayer and what you guys are doing there, and introduce the world to BitVM.
Yeah, thanks. Today as we speak, we're going to have a major announcement. We're going to partner with 5 major well-known chains, L1s, EV and L2s as well, to have our BitVM bridge, which is a third generation Bitcoin trust minimized bridge, to activate more and more Bitcoin native assets liquidity to enter all kinds of yield-bearing, DeFi protocols. Hopefully, we can have that to activate more Bitcoin, use cases among different ecosystem. So Bitlayer wants to empower Bitcoin DeFi as the gateway for all kinds of ecosystem to enter Bitcoin assets, Bitcoin liquidity. So it's a huge day for Bitlayer as a project. Hopefully, it's an important day for the Bitcoin ecosystem over the history. Amazing to co-host the event with Josh and Edge NFT team, Edge of Bitcoin team. We're gonna have interesting conversation and builders to share their perspective. I think we will see how it evolves. I'm very, very looking forward to see how much new Bitcoin we can activate, right, from the idle cold wallet to actively looking at different yield and to interesting started yield protocols across different ecosystem. So BitVM, for the people who are actually not familiar with, it's a very important piece of technology, which is very innovative, very new, trying to solve the fundamental problem of the programmability and the verification problem in Bitcoin. Bitcoin is very secure, it's decentralized proof of work UTXO system, but it has very little programmability. You can't really build a complicated smart contract on Bitcoin natively. So that's the mission we want to unpack, right? We want to bring this new trustless, programmable, environment around Bitcoin, right, as a layer 2 to have all these seamless, high security transaction eventually can settle on Bitcoin, achieving the Bitcoin finality. So far we have over 280 projects already on our mainnet. We are onboarding a lot of very interesting major blue chips to coming over.
So I'd imagine, congratulations first on all these partnerships, not one, but many at the same time. You talked about a lot there. I want to unpack some of the elements for a moment. So from a programmability perspective and having this bridging capability, how does that change the type of projects that would be attracted to the Bitlayer ecosystem?
Hey listeners, are you ready to amplify your voice in a digital world? Introducing .podcast domains, your gateway to the future of online identity. Whether you're a creator, a company, or just someone with big ideas, .podcast is for you. Own your unique digital identity, connect securely, and explore hundreds of apps with no renewal fees. Don't wait for someone else to claim your name. Secure your .podcast domain today and be part of the next generation of content creation. Visit get.unstoppabledomains.com/podcast to get started. Again, that's get.unstoppabledomains.com/podcast. Your voice, your rules, your identity.
Yeah, so there's projects need three fundamental things, right? There's a lot of other small things they might need help with, but the three major things fundamentally they need help with, right? To really speed up their growth, all the other things as well. One is TVL, right? Liquidity. A lot of DeFi protocols have interesting product design, but in order to really kick off, have the soft launch, they need the seeding liquidity. They need have the growth. They need to embrace and activate the new asset.
It's sort of like, for non crypto native folks, it's like crowdfunding,
Yeah.
You need people at the party to learn about what you're doing.
Yeah, and people wouldn't take all these protocols seriously if there's very little, almost zero liquidity on their protocol, right? So that's a very important.
It's an empty party, and then if the party starts and it's empty, no one wants to go to the party.
Yeah, once everybody sees there's like interesting people lining up, right, trying to get in, that's normally creates FOMO and demand. I think traction speak for a very important, what's happening in this protocol and all the use cases. And the second thing I think it's very important as well is security, right? People are worried about all these security. There's like very bizarre hacks happened the last couple of weeks, right? So people trust Bitcoin still have the highest level of security. We want to enable the programmability while have the high level of security on Bitcoin, right? So that's a very important thing. While there's many interesting altcoin, out layers, right, like doing interesting kind of meme coin, all the other things, at the end of the day, when some security issue happened, they all wants to come back to the value bets, right? Where the value is, which is Bitcoin. Yeah.
So I'm sure you've had a lot of conversations with Bitcoin maxis and who abide by the philosophy of not your keys, not your crypto. Right. What's your response in those conversations in terms of what you're doing to sort of enable this programmability and more versatility?
Yeah. So Bitlyer, we try to really keep this first principle, self-custody, right? All the bridging, all this transaction in our ecosystem is people, users use their Web3 wallet. They own their own private keys. It's self-custody. There's no centralized custody kind of parking different liquidity, that kind of stuff. We all know wrapped Bitcoin, which is the first generation of wrapping Bitcoin, right? It's essentially just a small federation of multi-sig of bridging, right? And there's some kind of concerning news, right? There's some small set of people kind of taking over this entire ownership of the wrapped Bitcoin signing process. So more and more people, including BitGo, right? They just announced they're getting rid of the WBTC assets because of all these changes of ownership. So I think more and more people will have the awareness. This centralized multi-sig approach is not going to be the end game for wrapping Bitcoin. So that's the reason we want to deliver this like BitVM bridge, which is way more trustless, and focusing on the self-custody part. Yeah. So for the people like the maxis, they don't trust anybody. They want to keep everything, especially their private key, in their own hands. Yeah, that's the very important first principle we're gonna follow all the way through.
Right on. So one founder in the crypto space recently told me when thinking about security, it's not that they sort of planned for not ever being hacked. It's actually they expect to be hacked, and they plan for the different implications of that and how to sort of mitigate the damages. What's your thoughts there in terms of a self custody approach and sort of all the nefarious actors out there?
There's always pros and cons and trade-offs, right? Self-custody for people, they could even kind of argue, what if I forgot my C phrase, my private keys, I mismanaged it, right?
Yeah, I mean, people caught in fires in LA, some lost their C phrases, right?
That I would say there's like hundreds of thousands of Bitcoin just get lost because all the private key get lost and not being hacked, being lost by people. So, those are all kind of very important education. People are learning the hard ways over the years. There's more and more better UX kind of, self-custody wallets have been delivered in the market. But I think that's the first principle people wants to follow, right? Self-custody, not centralized, trusting some entities or even authorities. Is there anything which is bulletproof forever, perpetually? It's difficult to really say that, right? It's a big statement. There's some dark forest kind of statement saying the hackers from, crazy country like North Korea just keep attacking all these. So yeah, it's a very important issue we still need to solve. There's interesting security protocols. Some of them we are partnering with as well, like Slow Mist and like on-chain monitoring protocol like Go Plus. They have very solid features. I think we just need to educate the users, right, to understand, okay, why are you doing the transactions? Why you're signing some smart contracts? Why you're giving approval to all kind of things? Are you aware of the risks? Are you actually make sure you're not clicking the phishing attacks? So there's a lot of things we can avoid, being hacked if you actually educate yourself. I think for any users, right, if you're not protecting your own funds while you're doing self-custody, you don't actually educate yourself about some basic, how to use your wallets, interacting all kinds of smart contract. I think that's you're not basically responsible for your own funds, right? So you have to learn that.
One quick tip for those of you that are on the Ton ecosystem, you need to turn off auto downloads of files and documents. So I just did this last week in Hong Kong. So quick little tip for those of you that like to use Telegram is turn off those auto downloads because they can actually send something to your computer without you even doing anything about it. So you always have to stay vigilant. So backing up a little bit, while you've been building, there's been a major influx of sort of new players in sort of this Bitcoin L2 space and other folks that are exploring sort of some of the same ideas that you guys are exploring. I would say the competition for what you're doing is fierce. Of course, Bitlayer has a racing motif, so I don't think you're afraid of competition. But how has the space changed and sort of what do you think of the dynamics of who's going to end up winning? Is it going to be a multiple winners? Is going to be a large amount of winners, or is it ultimately going to come down to the next Amazon in the Bitcoin ecosystem?
Great question. So last year we saw a huge influx of new projects, right? Just come out of nowhere. People were saying there were over 100 Bitcoin L2 or sidechains or meta protocols were fundraising.
And there were like a couple when I first heard about Bitlayer.
Yeah, there was some of them actually were presenting in an interesting way. Some of them were kind of weird. People don't understand what they do. A lot of them actually stopped doing what they were trying to do, or they pivoted already. So in the last 12 months, we saw quite a lot of projects kind of been pivoting, or some of them actually stopped operation. Indeed, there's been interesting competition in the space. Competition. I always believe competition create innovation, create high quality, products and its services to the space. And I think all these respective competitor, when we are interacting, it's important for us to encourage ourselves to keep delivering and motivating the team to working hard and hustle hard, and also, being mindful and humble, right? When there's really respected players who deliver real stuff. And I think those are the people we're going to see over the years. Some of them going to deliver interesting stuff with different approaches. We believe there's going to be multiple players, going to be good winners and take different approaches, having different market share in the space, having different type of, customers set up. Since, I entered this crypto space since 2015, I've been always like a multi-chain side and not like a Bitcoin maxi. Now we're building Bitcoin layer 2. So for people who are building all this innovation on Bitcoin, we're not Bitcoin maxi per se, right? It's actually the progressive side in the Bitcoin space. I think the next 2 years is going to be very interesting. It's going to be less and less project, but higher level quality, right? So Bitlayer last year, we were number one on the DeFi Llama on TVL. We've been growing pretty fast, one of the fastest growing ecosystem with a lot of transaction, over 28 million transactions happen on our mainnet already. We're launching our BitVM bridge, right? So 5 chains we're announcing today. I think another 3 or 4 in the upcoming weeks. So we're activating as much Bitcoin, liquidity to ecosystem.
So I have a few thoughts and questions for you. First, like, is it just about telling your team to stay persistent, stay curious, stay nimble, stay aggressive, or is there more to it in terms of how you make sure that at the end of the race that Bitlayer is still there?
You mentioned about this word, it's a race, right? It's a race, but it's also a marathon. It's a long-term thing. We are aiming for the long run, right? It's like many, many years. So it's not really just like you have a seasonal winner, you're kind of being the most famous one this week or this month, and then you're gonna be the winner forever. It doesn't work in that way. Like we see a lot of project ups and downs. We see a lot of major crypto brands, they were like king in the world, right? Now they're completely collapsed due to various reasons. I don't need to name them. Probably you know some of them in your back of your mind. So Bitlayer, we're aiming for the long run. So it's not just keep pushing, hustling, being the ultimate fastest pace, but actually sometimes we need to slow down, have some resets, and also revisit a lot of things we've done to see what works, what didn't work, and also needs to be very effective and practical, and to be careful with our burn rate, be careful with our even mental health, right, on the team, and make sure we are aiming for the long run, right? I think I really saw some founders had some crazy burnout last couple of years. Some of them just overstretched themselves, right? So for us, we want to really see how we can grow sustainably with the long-term partners. There's some people kind of come and go. Some project deploy our mainnet and nothing happened. They kind of completely left the Bitcoin ecosystem as well. So yeah, we wanted to see over the time who can be with us a long time.
Yeah, what you just shared reminds me of my former days in the food tech space. So when I started, it was called Power Supply and then Territory Foods. We were one of the first prepared meal companies delivering, healthy food to DC, and we expanded from there. And then all of a sudden there were 50, and then there were 250, and then there are 300 companies trying to do the same thing we were doing. And
that's some validation there.
Yeah, right. And ultimately, we just focused on great food, great product, and taking care of our customers. And the rest kind of worked itself out. There was one company that decided to go head to head with us. Let's just say that didn't go so well for them. We ended up, cleaning up and grabbing their fridges and their meals and or their customers for us. But they went low cost and instead of quality, right? And so I think a lot of what you said resonates with me in terms of just the fundamentals of building a sustainable business. It doesn't happen in one cycle in 1 year. It comes from the values, the culture, and sort of this focus on always sort of being lean and nimble and staying ahead, in adapting to the environment, right? And I think if there's one thing we learned in this industry is you have to be adaptive.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think survive in the long run is very important. And statistically, very few projects in the Web3 space survive multiple cycles, right? I think this is our goal. We want to survive multiple cycles. We probably will
thrive in multiple cycles.
Yeah,
right?
thrive. Yeah, survive first and then thrive, right? And the ones can survive multiple cycles. Ultimately, it means that you're hitting some sort of the product market fit, and over the years you're gonna thrive, right? So that's very important. Make sure we survive, keep nimble, but also delivering the right piece of the service and the products to the market.
Great. So you shared a lot of insights with our audience. It's great to get this type of update from you at this key time and anniversary for Bitlayer. Really excited about our partnership on this event. We have some really special folks that are going to be joining us today. Any other closing thoughts you just want to share with our audience about, Bitlayer and what's coming up next for you guys, and sort of your thoughts on this year ahead?
Let's take a pause to shout out one of our favorite partners. For tech innovators facing legal challenges, Bitlyer is your go-to law firm. They focus on understanding your technology and business model before addressing legal requirements. Specializing in blockchain, AI, VR, AR, quantum computing, and more, Bitlyer offers expert guidance in capital raising, IP transactions, M&A, litigation, and compliance. Visit zuberlawer.com, that's ZUBERLAWLER.com, for cutting-edge legal solutions.
Thanks for the question. So 2024 was the year we came out of to the market, right? A lot of people get to know us, a lot of friends. We made a lot of friends. A lot of people become our investor, partner, including Josh and his team, and many others, right? We have Franklin Templeton, some institution also backing us. Now they're working with us, not just putting their money to our company, but also, explore the products, in asset management strategy. 2025 will be a very important year for us to make some, interesting pioneering efforts in the institutional angle with Bitcoin yield-bearing products. And on the Web3 native side, we want to keep focus on BitVM as a very important technology, while being one of the pioneer to push OpCat in the long run as well. We're working closely with amazing builders like Stockware, to do that together. We're very well connected with a lot of Bitcoin whales, OGs, and mining pools. A lot of them get to know what is this new thing I've called a Bitcoin ecosystem from us. We've been trying our best to educate them. We respect a lot of those people who have been in the Bitcoin space over 10 years, right? But some of them are just miners. They've been hodling their Bitcoin in the last 10 years, not doing that much, right? So we have a very interesting value proposition for those people. And also a lot of the new folks who will not necessarily hold Bitcoin many, many years, but they get to know because of ETF, because of the institution, because of all this news, right? Even with the new administration, which is pro-crypto. So I think 2025, 2026 is a major important 2 years to change the space to hit some real next leg of mass adoption. People have been seeing mass adoption in the last 5 years, right? We have some interesting run with NFT, with Metaverse last cycle. Unfortunately, some of them didn't work out. But I think Bitcoin has been, last 15 years, right? It has been ups and downs, but it's gonna stay and stay for a long time, at least in the next 50 years. So we want to make sure that next 2 years will be a very important catalyst year to activate more use cases around Bitcoin as one of the most important digital assets, and also more use cases, right? There's like trillions of market we can activate with all this like Bitcoin yield-bearing stuff. And I think you're gonna see some interesting institutional Bitcoin products designed by Bitlayer with a few institutional players, and stay tuned on that.
All right. Well, lots of exciting stuff happening. Thanks, Charlie, for joining us again. For those that haven't dived down the Bitlayer rabbit hole, where should they go first?
The best way is always follow our Twitter, which is Bitlayer Labs. We have over 1 million followers already. We'd love to have more and more people and users to have a taste about our ecosystem, try our use cases. You can easily get on our website at bitlayer.org in the ecosystem leaderboards to see what other projects have what kind of traction, what kind of like TVL transactions and numbers. And I have to get to know what they build, right?
And you're actually, I know you're a thought leader in the space. You're always sharing interesting thoughts on what's happening. Telling people, sometimes to relax, calm down a little bit.
Yeah.
See the forest through the trees. So, what's your X as well?
So my X is Charlie Who Sets. Follow the sets, right? That's kind of that's my handle in Twitter, and I try to share not just the facts, right, the news and all these announcements. I try to share sometimes emotion as well, like thoughts, because I've been in the space quite some years. This is my 10th year in the space. I've seen ups and downs. I see some crazy things happening, some amazing story, inspiring story as well. Hopefully sometimes when people have some crazy fear or panicking moment, some of my thoughts or experience can, give you some peace of mind. Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Charlie.
Thank you, Josh.
We've reached the outer limit at the edge of show for today. Thanks for exploring with us. We have room for more adventurers on our starship, so invite your friends and cool strangers to join our journey. If you're among the hundreds of thousands following us on Spotify, iTunes, iHeartRadio, or watching us on Myco or YouTube, please hit that subscribe button, rate us, and make an awesome comment too. And don't forget to pass this episode along to a friend or two who would benefit from it. Doubling back to again, recommend checking out myco.io, where you can watch The Edge of Show and earn for your time and attention. That's myco.io. Don't forget to visit theedgeofshow.com. The is part of the domain name, where you can learn more about collaborating with us and also subscribe to the Edge of Weekly newsletter for the latest Web3 news, events, and show drops. In addition, connect with us on all major social platforms by searching for The Edge of Show. Join the exciting conversations happening online. Lastly, be sure to tune in next time for more great Web3 and AI content. Until then, keep pushing the boundaries. Thanks again for hanging out with us today. The views and opinions expressed on The Edge of Show reflect solely those views and opinions of the show host and its guests. Please make sure to do your own research. Our show is not financial advice. You understand that you are using any and all information on or through this podcast at your own risk. Whenever making financial decisions, we recommend doing your own research and talking to your accountant for financial advice. From time to time, we may feature sponsored content on the show for which we receive value, and we may share links for which we receive a commission if you make a purchase through one of these links. Refer to our website, www.edgeofnft.com, for our full disclaimer, terms and conditions, and privacy policy.